When I was in middle school, I was a very overzealous, legalistic Christian, and I didn't want to get in trouble, but I often wanted to irritate my brother and my sister. And so, as I thought about it, I realized that I could say to my siblings, "You're such a beep." I'm not censoring myself. Those are the exact words I would call them. I would say, "You're such a beep." And when they would go and report me to our mom, it was a little bit confusing. Well, he hasn't used like a word on the naughty list, so can I get him in trouble for cussing? But then my brother and sister were upset. They knew what I had said and how I had said it. And so it was just the perfect way to get away with being really cruel to my siblings. And if y'all are watching, guys, I'm sorry, that was wrong. I have no excuses. Please forgive me. So, you're such a beep. The thing is, beep is not on anybody's naughty list, but the word can still be used to hurt someone. And my naughty list and your naughty list are different, but I'm sure that everyone feels there are some words that no one should say to someone else. And part of why we clash with each other is the words on my naughty list aren't on your naughty list, and you think I'm a prude, but then your words are not on my list, and I might think the same thing about you in regards to those words. So we all have these expectations for acceptable and unacceptable speech. And I want to address that in this video. But the other challenge I had in creating this resource is that the person asked me, "Will swearing send me to hell?" And I just felt tense in my body thinking about the question that way because of the hellfire and brimstone, preachers. And they conceive of God as being fundamentally angry and wrathful and vengeful, who enjoys in a kind of a sadistic way torturing people for all of eternity unless you do what God says. And is it what God says, or is it what the pastor says? And see, in my view, this is a tool of spiritual abuse used to get people afraid so they are vulnerable to being manipulated and controlled and coerced by the pastor into doing what the pastor wants them to do. Give money, serve, whatever it is. And that is wrong. And I want nothing to do with that. But that's the question I got. So the place we're going to look to answer this question is from Matthew 12, verses 33 through 37. And before I read it, I want to set up the context. The context is that the religious leaders of the day, the Pharisees, have said that Jesus is working with the ruler of the demons. They're saying Jesus is satanic, demonic, evil, wicked, depraved. It's a very intense charge that Jesus has to respond to. And so here's what he says. Either make the tree good and its fruit will be good, or make the tree bad and its fruit will be bad. For a tree is known by its fruit. Brood of vipers, how can you speak good things when you are evil? For the mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart. A good person produces good things from his storeroom of good, and an evil person produces evil things from his storeroom of evil. I tell you that on the day of judgment, people will have to account for every careless word they speak. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Now, maybe you're thinking that's hellfire and brimstone, but the first point here is that sometimes very strong words are appropriate. Jesus says of these very respectable, highly honored, high-status religious people that they are snakes. And that is helpful to us to recognize that just because someone is a religious authority doesn't mean they're actually a snake. And we need to look past the clothing and the church and the God words and be able to look beneath the surface of all of that and discern their spiritual condition. And at times, we need to call those people out for faking it. And the truth is, they are snakes. Now, calling a pastor a snake is not on some people's list of things you can do as a Christian. They feel that you should always be deferential to pastors. And this passage makes it clear that that's not true. It is okay to call a predatory pastor a snake. That's the kind of thing Jesus did, and it's appropriate for us to speak the truth about predatory pastors. Okay? Now, the second thing that I've noticed as I've studied this passage is that Jesus is giving us a very important principle. It's that from the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And this is how we resolve that question of the naughty lists. The question is not what words we say. The question is what's going on inside of our hearts. And Jesus contrasts having a bad heart and a good heart. And what is a good heart? Well, in the Bible, it's very simple. A good heart is a heart that loves God and loves others. And so if our words are speaking the truth about God and worshiping God, and if our words are building people up, encouraging them, serving them, helping them, telling the truth about predators, if our words reflect a heart that loves God and loves others, then they're good words. But if our words are designed to hurt other people, whether they're on a naughty list or not, then they're bad words because they come from a bad place of wanting to tear down and hurt someone else. And that's the secret to resolving whether or not our speech is appropriate. Is it a reflection of a love for God and a love for others? Now, there's another way that this principle has really helped me, because it means that if I'm struggling to understand what's going on inside of my heart, then one of the best ways to make what's invisible, what's inside of me, visible, so I can pay attention to it and understand what's happening, is I can use my words. I can journal, I can talk with a friend, I can talk out loud to God. Whatever means it is to get my words visible, either to a friend or to paper or to God, by bringing those words out in one form or another, it helps me see what's going on in my heart. And that has helped me so many times to diagnose my heart and then to ask God and others for help to act in a way that is loving and truthful and good. And over again, when I'm stuck somewhere, writing it down or talking it out has helped me break through. Doesn't fix everything, but it's a tool of discernment, and I recommend it to you. Now, the third thing we need to ask then is, how do we become people who love God and love others and have good hearts? I remember I was at a Bible study once, and there was this woman sitting in a chair, drinking tea and eating a dessert. And I was mentioning how the most important priority is to always love God and love others. And she said, in an incredibly matter-of-fact way, I always do that. And I was just taken off. I mean, she was sitting in a chair eating dessert, claiming that the entirety of her life was loving God and loving others. And I just asked for clarification. I said, you mean you always love God and love others? You never don't do that? And she said, yeah. Like I was crazy for thinking she might not do that some of the time. And I was flabbergasted. I did not know how to respond to that in the moment. And I'm actually still not sure what I should have said or could have said to help her with that. But I think that most of us, if we're being honest, would admit that we do not spend all day loving God or all day loving others. Most of the time, we're selfish and we're thinking about ourselves, me, myself, and I. Maybe you're different. I find that to be a pretty common starting point for the day. So how do we become people who love God and love others? And, I think the best place here is what Paul says in Romans 10. If you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord, you will be saved. That's the answer to this question. Salvation is not about whether or not you said the words on the naughty list in the heavenly throne room. Salvation is about whether or not you love God because God loves you. And it's really that simple. But this passage helps us understand that as disciples of Jesus, we care about our words because we care about loving God and we care about loving others. So there's a lot more we could go into on this passage. And if you want to do a deep dive with me into all of it and the many other passages that talk about our speech across the scriptures, come join me in the Uncommon Pursuit community. I'd love to do a deeper dive on all of this with you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. All of those things will help other people discover this content. I hope to see you next time.